I was a career pastor. I always had a heart for those that were wounded, those that were lost. I always brought those people with me. I got a lot of worth from that because people would come to me and say, thank you for doing this and doing that. But to be honest with you, I didn't really understand the brokenness because I'd never been really broken. My story is my health crashed. From one day to the next, I was in a wheelchair. And it was like my identity was gone.
When we first got pregnant with our first kid, it all seemed normal. It was like, oh, buy the crib, get the stroller. That's what we expected going into having kids. When we were pregnant with Madison, she was born at 30 weeks, significantly earlier than expected and what is really healthy. She's super healthy now and okay, but that kind of started the whole story, which would end up being a realization that this isn't going to be as easy as we thought. We got pregnant not too long after. At that point, we kind of thought, oh, maybe there's a chance this happens again, but pretty early into the pregnancy, we found out we had miscarried, and then that happened a few more times before we started seeking a little bit of medical help.
I grew up in a home where love existed, but it felt conditional and complicated. I feel like I never really learned to receive love, let alone understand the weight of it. I tried living in a way that did not allow for people to take love away from me. In February 2023, I joined some people from my Quest team. We went to Costa Rica to go and serve in a small community there. I went in with the idea that even if I didn't believe that God loved me, that I could still show that kind of love to these people. 3 days into the trip, I was bitten by the deadliest snake in Costa Rica. We're the top 10 deadly snakes in the world. Scientifically, that was the end of my story. I had about a minute to say my goodbyes.
This past year in May, we had our third child, a son, Caden. He was born with a rare congenital birth defect called vascular association. So he has significant spine abnormalities and fused ribs. He had 2 holes in his heart when he was born. Our biggest thing was that his esophagus was in 2 pieces. We didn't really hold him until he was just over a week. The mother instinct is to hold your child and hold them close, and I couldn't do that. Those moments nearly broke me.
I think through the whole experience, I only spent one night with Caden in his room. Almost for that whole night, there was alarms going off, there was nurses coming in and out of the room, and he was going through coughing fits. That was pretty nerve-wracking for me. I was just kind of laying there in the bed, terrified, what is going on here?
God, you knit him in my womb, this is your plan. And it's just but why is this your plan?
There was a loss, a daily loss sometimes. One thing wouldn't work anymore and then something else. I woke up in panic attacks at night. How would we survive financially? I had migraines for a whole year because it was my job to figure it out. He couldn't. Those were my dark days. So I went to church that next Sunday and we sang, He gives and takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. I thought, Lord, you've given him to me, his health, and now you took it away. But still, blessed be your name. That doesn't mean it got any easier, but I could trust God that he would give me peace, even though maybe I wasn't yet experiencing it. We'd had 25 good years together. I was sad for the change in our relationship.
Are we a family with 1 kid? I don't think we expected that or really saw that in our future. So that was a tough conversation, a tough place to be. We were pregnant again, then Judah ended up being born. So it kind of was a turning point for us where we realized, okay, having kids is truly a gift from the Lord.
A couple more non-viable pregnancies. We found out we were pregnant with Micah, and that was exciting. But again, every time you get a positive pregnancy test, you're not excited because you have no idea where it's going to lead. Same thing happened after Micah too, in between Micah and Hannah, but we had less, and Hannah's was surprising actually. I think we thought with her positive pregnancy test we would lose her, and we didn't.
Since Hannah was born last year, we've already had 2 pregnancies that were non-viable.
We have a God whose love cannot be bound to scientific odds. He provided a miracle, and I survived. He put me in a position to have to receive love in a way that I wouldn't let myself receive before. The people of Costa Rica, the people that I was there to serve, did not skip a beat to come and serve me, and they never let me forget the fact that through me they were able to see God working. I have a God that loves me and that He has kept me here intentionally. If these people with so little could love me so well, then how much more does my God love me?
Caden had his first surgery. They usually do it on a baby that's about 6 to 8 months old. Caden was a day old. And then he had his second surgery, and they called me like, his first surgery was like a partial failure. So here's our options. We can try this surgery. Our surgeon had only done that surgery 1 or 2 other times on a 6 to 8 month older baby. So we did it, and it was a success. And then she's like, okay, we did it, but there's going to be a small gap where we've attached it. He's gonna have to have the NG tube and like ABCD. And we had his esophagram the following week, and she sits down with me and she's like, Tiffany, there's no leak. Like, if that is not evident of the power of prayer and the power of God, like, how can you not see God in those moments?
Sitting in that chair with my bitterness and my anger and my regrets and my fears, I learned how to be quiet. I really began to hear God's voice in a whole fresh way. If it wouldn't have been for Jesus, peace wouldn't have come to my life. He wasn't that interested in my doing as much as he was interested in my being. He still eagerly wanted to use me. I still have MS, but the symptoms have been gone, and that's in part to God giving healing into my life.
What was challenging was to choose to be joyful when I really didn't feel joyful, and I didn't even trust if it was something that I could be joyful about.
One night I was sleeping, and the Lord sent me a dream of a child, and people were rallying to have him raised from the dead, praying over him and just like worshiping Lord. It was so loud. The boy sat up and was alive again. And my thought was, I knew you could do it, and you didn't do it for me. I was so hurt and so mad that he wasn't coming and defending me in that way. And I needed that so that I could move past it. Because until you acknowledge that you're upset or frustrated with the Lord, it actually just brews in your heart for a long time, and then you build up resentment. So for me, it was the Lord actually saying, you need to acknowledge that you're mad with me so that we can move forward in our relationship and you can see the good I have for you.
The night before, I was bitten by the snake. We were doing an evening debrief. One of the questions that was asked of all of us was, what was a word that resonates with you? The word carried popped in my head. It didn't make sense. I wasn't carried, and got a couple of looks, and like, you know, they wanted a little bit of an explanation, and I didn't have one. And then the next morning, I was bitten by the snake. It felt like in that moment, I was being carried. I was carried a lot throughout that day, physically, by leaders, by nurses. I mean, my life was carried by God that day.
The first time I stepped out of a wheelchair, it was kind of surreal, and I noticed that my legs had stability and that I could actually walk, and I didn't even use a cane.
He was looking up at the sky, and he stopped and he said, I can't do this.
Yeah, like I haven't been able to do this for how many years, and here I'm walking. Every week, I sit with about 50 people, and I have that blessed experience of sitting in front of them and just talking about how you can take rejection, trauma, that rut of bitterness, and how you can give that to Jesus.
The amount of people praying was profound. The amount of people that provided meals, that provided just simple check-ins of like, hey, have you eaten yet today? That is hope in action. That is God's character in action, is literally in the people surrounding us when we can't feel it. There's an army of people helping us and fighting for us and praying for us. And how is that not literally the epitome of hope As much as you sometimes feel alone in the trench, there's an army behind you. And a God right there beside you.
I think where we actually found what the joy of the Lord is was from becoming obedient and humble servants of His. And that came from being in a position where we didn't get to choose what we wanted when we thought we had a choice, submitting that part of our life to Him and saying, okay, it's not our decision, it's not our timeline. Once we let go, the sadness of it all is like gone.
Surrendering the pain, that really unlocked accessing like the joy from the Lord for us. Being in a place where we learned to be truly vulnerable and truly dependent on the Lord for something that we deeply wanted and desired. That was the moment when He showed us that, hey, I have all these good things for you, and don't let these horrible things that are not from me stand in the way of accessing them. When a child is born in our family, it's directly from the Lord. It's not look at what we did or what we created. It's what the Lord has created and given us, and that child represents joy.
I have a very good reminder that God chose me and that He intentionally kept me here. It's a story that I cannot deny and therefore cannot deny His love either. I think ultimately knowing that Jesus is coming back is a reminder that love is still being written into my story. All of the hiding, the feelings of being unseen, and the pain, they didn't go unnoticed, and it doesn't stop there.
Because of Jesus, I have peace. He knows my today and He knows my tomorrow.
Because of Jesus, I have peace. Because He walks with me daily, I'm not alone.
Because of the arrival of Jesus, I have the joy of the Lord that is never ending and overflowing.
Because of the arrival of Jesus, I have learned that I have access to His joy.
Because of the arrival of Jesus, I have love.
Because of the arrival of Jesus, I have hope.
Because of the arrival of Jesus, I have hope, a growing, confident assurance in God's promise.